Hello, and thank you very much for joining me in the studio today, where we paint away the stress of everyday life, but not today. Yes, but I am going to be doing a painting just at the end of this. It's just a video that I've been asked so many questions about. How do you paint in this background? So I thought I would put that up. But the reason I can't paint today is because I've had a COVID job, my second job. My arm is absolutely throbbing. I've got a job to lift my arm up today. I'm really, really sore. So I thought, I know, I'll answer some questions on YouTube because I've had a lot of comments come in. So don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed, and leave me a comment as well, along with a thumbs up, because it always helps. And I'll also go into the Clive 5 Art family group, well, there's a lot of posts in there, a lot of people doing paintings, fantastic work, and I thought it would be good if we visited that. And I think if this goes well, I might actually do this on a regular basis as well. So I thought that would be an extra thing for you to look at. But before we proceed, let's put the old introduction up.
It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe.
So thank you very much for joining me in the studio. So there, there is my YouTube comments. There are my Facebook family comments, but I'm going to move them about. Move them about. So first of all, I want to say thank you to Daniel H. He posted this 23 hours ago, actually. Springtide, that was painted quite a while ago, and he's just said basically, hi Clive, thank you very much for your videos. I really enjoy painting away the everyday stress with you, and I also wanted to say that your pearls of wisdom, thanks a lot for keep posted up your videos, Clive. Cheers. So I'm going cross-eyed trying to read two different comments here. Anyway, David East, one day ago. And that was for the brushes, I think, all about brushes. Please, can you give your opinion on cheap paint versus expensive paint? David, yeah, it's basically down to you, isn't it, really, at the end of the day? What can you afford? Acrylic paint is pretty good across the board, I think. However, if you're going to buy a tube of paint for £1 or $1, you're going to get what you pay for, basically. You're going to have very, very little pigment, and a lot of additive, and there's a lot of additives in these things. But if you go for the professional range, you're going to have a highly pigmented paint. It's going to be a lot smoother. It's going to be a lot easier to paint with. So basically, I'd go for mid-range paint, like a De La Roni, something like that, or even a Clive 5 Art paint. My paints are reasonably priced. I make them myself by hand. You can go to www.clive5art.co.uk, have a look at my range of paints. I make them by hand. They're very highly pigmented, and I only use the best pigments and best resins to make these paints with. That's what I paint with now, because the only reason I started making my own paints is because I can make them to suit myself. As many artists over the years have done, they've ground pigments, made their own paints, and basically you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting. But rule of thumb, I would go for mid-range of paint, something like a student quality paint. That's my opinion. Okay, moving down. Walt Hughes, thanks Clive for talking about depression and anxiety out loud. It helps take away its power and helps others to relate. You are a blessing, and keep painting and sharing all. And that was with the Sunrise Stag easy painting I did the other week. And Walt, thank you very much. Yes, it is. Anxiety has taken a big chunk of my life, and it helps for me to talk to you as well as you listening to what I've got to say. It also helps me because it takes things off my chest, and I also know people appreciate that. And I think getting to talk, especially in these days of COVID-19, really does help. So yeah. It's thank you very much for that as well. And Mary Foster said my easy sunset painting, that was done quite a while ago actually. Mary, that was beautiful. Clive, thank you very much, Mary. Scott Jackson with my 5 things you should do. I had to Google primer before acrylic to find out what you were saying. Jessel, or the gesso, it seems. Gesso, G E S O. Gesso is a chalk-based primer. Chalk-based primer that you use on cardboard, yeah, any wood, yeah, any canvas. It all helps to get the paint to run smoothly. And there's a lot of grease on, there's a lot of dust on canvases. There's as far as paper is concerned, you don't really need to use gesso or any other type of primer, because the paint actually soaks, or the pigment soaks into the pores of the paper, thus holding it in place. Whereas if you're painting on anything smooth or greasy, you will find that the paint will actually flake off. So it's always a good idea, even with canvases. All the professionals actually prime their canvases, no matter how much they've paid for them. It's better to be safe than sorry, as far as gesso is concerned. And there's videos in the playlist if you want to go and check them out. Ross Greavy, artist and art educator. Oh, hello Ross. What a great comprehensive tutorial, and thank you for sharing. I teach similar content on my channel. Very well, I've checked that out, Ross. Thank you very much for dropping a like on that, and I'm glad that was very helpful. I can reply to you as we speak, and there you go. Rana says, thank you so much for that one. I'll reply to that now while we're at it. Thank you very much. It's cute. Oh, well, that was a picture of me and my grandson, actually. There's a picture of me and my grandson there. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you very much. I like that one. The trees you were painting are called aska trees found in Africa. Oh, well done. There we go. I didn't know that, actually. Very useful tips. Again, so nice of you. Thank you. And England says thank you very much for that one. Okay, I'll give you a heart for that. Sir, step number 8, what kind of liquid paint? I want to learn about this, please. It's gesso. There are cards. You actually watched the video, actually. So yeah, gesso is a primer, as I've just explained. So yeah, just check that out, or even type in gesso in Google, and that will come through there. Wonderful work. Okay, thank you very much. We need questions. Great video, thank you. I want to ask, I'm painting on a 300 grams paper. Do I need to prime it with gesso too, or is it mostly with canvases? Alicia says, well, I've just mentioned that, actually, Alicia. If you're just using paper, you don't need to gesso it or prime it, because, as I said, the paint and the pigment actually goes into the pores of the paper. Canvases, wood, anything like that, any surface like that, I would definitely use a primer like gesso. So thank you very much for that. Suki says, and I know Suki. Wonderful, she'll love the painting. What a wonderful grandpa you are. I'm doing some work on an unfinished paintings. Would be great as well to see seascapes. So I got seascapes coming in. I'm going to be doing some unfinished work that I've got. I want to just finish off. I've done a lot of groundwork on these things, and I think it's important that I show you something. We've all, as artists, we've all got loads of paintings hanging about. Let's be honest, we've partly done. So why not get them out and finish them off? That's what I say. Vanessa Schofield again. Hiya, Vanessa. Love the butterfly. Thank you very much for that one. Scotty Simpson. What resin are you using, Clive? I don't think you mentioned the brand. The resin, what's that? Studio Made Flow Medium. There's many brands out there, Scotty. Any medium that you can find will work, as far as that is concerned. You need just resins. Resins are resins, basically. It doesn't. The brands are immaterial, really. Obviously, the more money you spend, the better quality. And that's about it, really, to say with them things. So just follow that recipe and use anything to hand. Sheila says, thank you very much. I said, you're welcome. I will reply to that as we speak now. Can C cut the text out? Can Clive great videos? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Shimmy? Can I use a sealer instead of an undercoat? Sealer, okay. You can seal wood. Seal wood with a PVA as a polymer vinyl acetate or school glue or Mod Podge, anything like that. You can seal wood with that. You can paint directly onto that, that's fine. But as I said in a previous comment, gesso is good because it's chalk based. That means it's got a grittiness to it, and it allows the paint to grab. You can just put calcium carbonate or chalk into PVA, school glue, Mod Podge, and that'll be like a clear a gesso, if you would. That'll give it grab as well. So yeah, you can paint on that. So if you want to make yourself some clear gesso, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Up and coming artist says, I'm just catch up with your videos. Okay, thank you very much for catching up. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you have any comments, that would be wonderful. David Burton Richardson. I like these double barrel names, David. Yeah, David Burton Richardson. That sounds really posh. Having stuffed anxiety and depression. Oh, sorry, I haven't stuffed. I've stuffed anxiety a few times, David. Having suffered anxiety and depression all my life, I can totally relate to this video also. Vincent has always been a massive inspiration to me, and I have seen that the sight of this painting, it's actually, as the painting is, truly wonderful. Yeah, I love really creating work sometimes and putting my own spin on things, not accurately. I don't try to copy stuff like that if I can help it. I like to try and give my own impression to it if I can, and I think that's important. But David, as I said, you know, keep talking and keep sharing things with people, and don't forget, anxiety is about fear of the future and trying to have influence on that and trying to change future events, which you can't change future events. You can influence them a little bit, but you can't change them. Depression then is all about the past and things that you just can't change anyway because it's gone. So you need to accept the past, and you need to accept also that sometimes things happen just because they do. That's just the way I deal with stuff, actually. Lara says, brilliant, a no-fuss delivery. Thank you, Lara. That's very kind of you. A whole new world of drawing art donkers. I always gesso my canvases before I put acrylic paint on it. I do this on weekends or Wednesdays. That way I've got 5 or 6 different size canvas boards to primed gesso, but now I work on MDF boards. I've got 244 by 122 centimeters, 4 mil thick, for 8.98. Can I cut these sizes? Can I cut up these sizes that I want for my paintings, panels, and start painting? I have a good stock of MDF boards that last me a long time. I've got this hack from YouTube artist, and his name's Emily. MDF is a funny old stuff to paint on, actually, but you need to rough up the surface with some sandpaper, and then you need to seal that surface, seal it really well with some PVA glue, school glue, Mod Podge, as I've said. Allow that to dry, and then put some gesso on it, and that way then you should be okay with MDF. I don't like painting on MDF personally. I just don't like it. I just don't like it, basically. Thank you very much for that one. Lyra says, I'm going to make that now. Thank you, from the Philippines. Thank you. We're going into painting, mixing, waffle away. Thank you for sharing. I waffle a lot. I'm waffling now. Okay, so Crunchy says, wow, I'm embarrassed that I never noticed I could have saved so much effort and emphasized the quality of my products. Okay, so not many questions there. I'm just having a flick down now. Thank you very much for all your wonderful, lovely comments. You're all saying wonderful things about my work and my lessons, and I can't thank you enough. And so what I'm going to do now is switch over to Facebook. There you go. So we've got my Facebook page just come up there. Got my Facebook page come up, Clive Arts Family. Pop along to Facebook and join me there. So what have we got going on here? We got a Acrylic on a Flagstone by Philip Creek. Hello, Philip. How are you? So let me just see if I can just make this a little bit bigger. There you go. How's that? That's better, isn't it? We can see it a bit better now, Philip. That is lovely. A piece of stone, a piece of flagstone that we've just picked up off the street. Any stone, any pebbles. If you haven't painted on pebbles before, give it a go, because they are absolutely fantastic things to paint on. And as I said, just prime them well and you will be okay. Jean Noble says really good. Madeline Todd says excellent, and I think that's fantastic. So we got Eddie Rose asked to create this for charity auction, acrylics on canvas panel. Ed's art from the Dutch studio. There we go. Wow, that's pretty good. I like that a lot. I do like that. That is a really good painting. You want to be proud of that one. You really do. Just brilliant. Love Bob Marley. Terrific likeness, says Diana. Marin Todd says fantastic. Yes, James Cooper posted this painting of some daisies. What a wonderful background that is, James. Yes, that is a fantastic painting. Nice, simple, easy composition, and these things work. People like flowers. Marilyn Todd says, yay, spring, love daisies. Suki, hello, Suki. Okay, just off the easel, a very quick study. Valley in Mist, oil on an 8x8 inch canvas board, and there we are. What a wonderful painting that is. Look at the mood you've got there, Suki. Look at the mood you've got there. Look, little birdies. I like my little birdies. You got those little distant trees, that mist. You got that dark grey sky that looks like a Welsh painting. You could be living in Wales painting like that. You could be living in Wales. That's what it looks like out of my window looking across the valley. It does. It really does. Seeing the light coming through your painting is marvellous, says Jean. Madeline Todd, love the contrast and the wonderful light and the dark of the trees. There we are. And David Malt has done a 12 by 16 inch is H20 oils acrylic over the overflow. There we go. That is, look at the trees, look at the detail. I like the clouds, those fluffy balls of cotton wool, and the colours you've got in those mountains are really nice, along with that blue water there and these fantastic trees there. Wonderful, wonderful. Paul Christopher says, I'm calling this one finished lamplight acrylic on canvas board, 22.7 centimeters by 30.5 centimeters. Really pleased how it's this freestyle painting has come out. I've been being brave and doing no under drawings lately. Wow. Yes, that's what we should all do, really. Just go for it. Why not? Freestyle painting. Yeah, freestyle painting. I love the lamplight. I'm loving the lamplight there. And that background is nice and cool. That's and the warmth of the foreground there is really complementary with a cool background, and it's giving it some lovely depth there. And as we move down the painting, we can see that he's worked on the bottom as well, and I think that's really nice. I wish I could make that a little bit bigger so we could appreciate it better. And Deborah says, I love the warmth of the lamplight with the cold snow, makes it so atmospheric. I love to be wandering through there exploring. I think, yes, we would. And fantastic, my friend, says Suki. And Deborah Lucas, my lovely new art storage unit has arrived from Oxfam. Hey, that's what we forget sometimes, that we could pick up these fantastic these fantastic things from these charity shops, and why not? Let's go and buy some art supplies or stuff for our art rooms from a charity shop, because it's good, because we're actually helping as well. In this addition to the old Align TV stand, which is all I had before, come to think of it, all the things were in plastic bags under the stairs, and one point in my studio is now the whole kitchen. If I win the lottery, I'm going to buy a house with a huge light and airy space just for me, and why not? Look at that. Wow, I wish we all had a space like that. I wish we all had a space like that. Look at that storage. You've done really well, and everything's in line as well. You want to see my studio? It's a complete mess. Yes, I had the wife in there the other day and she was shouting at me. Nice. So, flying high in the sunlit silence. This is my son's latest picture with autism spectrum disorder and a selective mutism children and adults see different way to what we all see. The sky, he did use my makeup brush. Thank you for everyone for the kind support. Wow. Wow, just wow, look at that. Well, Jack, I think you deserve a big clap from us. I think that is a fantastic effort. And the colours, what can I say? It's a very Van Gogh-y type of thing. Vincent van Gogh couldn't have done any better than that. Well done, Jack. That is a brilliant, brilliant painting. You deserve to sell that for loads of money and be able to buy yourself. I think Mummy should take you out and buy you a big McDonald's for that. She should. Yeah, you tell her Clive said you've got to have a McDonald's. There we go. Okay. A greeby grebe, acrylic on canvas, says Eloise, and what that's a nice bird. Look at it. It looks like fluff, doesn't it? Looks like cat ears, fluffy cat ears. There we go. Right. Okay, so enough of the waffle. If I've missed anybody out, Tracy Jones, just have a quick look at your painting, because I quite like this dog. I think that's fantastic. Well done, Tracy. It's a commission, and she's drawn that obviously with pencil, maybe colour pencils. Well done. And we'll just go down, and there's a fantastic cat from Gary. Gary does a lot of paintings, actually. He does really good. I've got a couple of Gary's paintings hanging up in my studio, one of myself and one of my darling wife. He's done a brilliant job. Well done, Gary. And there we go. I would say one more to Bond's Justice, and my tribute to an iconic album of the iconic artist released on this day of 1984, Mr. Bruce Springsteen, and we will leave it at that. So I want to go on to this painting now that I started. I've been asked about backgrounds and painting on black canvases and things like that, and I think it's important that maybe that we have a look at that now. And I want to say thank you very much for joining me. I'm sorry I didn't paint today, but I am painting in spirit. But my arm is absolutely throbbing, and I think it's time that I join myself in the studio now. And wish you all stay safe, stay well. Don't forget to talk. Don't forget, if you're dealing with anxiety and depression, talk to people. It's very important. Get the family around and give everybody a hug, because we've had a horrible year, and my arm is throbbing. So without further ado, let's watch myself paint, and I shall see you next week, where I will be painting some fantastic seascapes over the next couple of weeks and finishing some paintings.
It's quite a complicated background.
Until then.
So I thought to myself, well, we got to try and make that a little bit easier. And this is a portrait. It's not finished, but this is a portrait I've got to so far, as you can see. But looking at the background, I've managed to do quite a bit on the background, and I'm constantly working on that at the moment. The portrait is gonna take me a while to finish. And there we go. So, but I thought I'd show you what I did as far as the background is up so far. And basically we need a little bit of grey. So let's just make up a bit of grey, a bit of Mars black and some white. Let's find a grey that we're happy with. There you go. And that just mix up a nice easy grey. And I got the studio doors open today. So you might hear some birds singing, some cockerels crowing, and Molly barking, and the cat dancing around the studio roof. So all I did is basically I just went in like this. First of all, you might find this strange, but it was the easiest way I could find of doing something like this. I'm going to get a little bit darker. It's a bit bright. There we are. So there's a couple of different mixes of grey and stuff like this in there. I'm just going to roll this brush. I'm painting. I'm just rolling this brush around the canvas like that. I'm going to speed this up just in a second, because it'll be a while before I can get this canvas covered in the way I want to. So I'm just doing random squirrely marks, as you can see. with this. I might get a little bit of white, lighter grey I should say, not white, a little bit of lighter grey here and there and there. And bearing in mind on mine I had my face there, but I just thought we'll zoom in on a section and see if we can't get a similar effect that how I created that, because it's quite a complicated background. And what you want to do is when you're looking at something like that, you want to try and break it down into its elements. You need to look at the background, and you need to try and break down the elements. You've still got distance even on something as close as all our foliage is. You've still got to create that little bit of distance in there. So this is the first layer, and this is the shadow layer that I've decided to do. So I'm just going to continue to do that now all over the canvas, and all I'm doing is rolling the brush like this and leaving gaps here and there and here and everywhere. And if I got a little bit less paint on the brush, it doesn't matter. Got a couple of brighter spots, and that doesn't matter either. So all we need to do is just roll in the brush around the canvas. So I'm going to just put on a little bit of music and continue to do that, and I'm going to continue to cover the canvas. Okay, so we dried that off with a hairdryer, and we've got to keep looking at our reference. It's always handy to keep a reference there for you to go off, because there's a lot of foliage and bits and pieces in there. What I'm going to get is a script lining brush now, and I'm going to go straight back into this black, but I'm going to add a little bit more white to it. And then all I'm going to do then is just put a few little marks like this. And that's going to represent some twigs and branches and things, really in distance there, really. We got some coming down that way. And don't forget that not all twigs are brown, are they? So a lot of them, especially on plants and things, can be green as well. So this is one of the reasons I'm doing this, just to represent some leaves. The leaves are going to go on later on, but this is just going to be the little stalks then. Not leaves, stalks, that's what I was looking for. So we need to put in some things like this. And just enjoy yourself and have fun. So you can see it started to build a little bit now. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to rinse these brushes out because I don't want them to dry, because it's quite warm in the studio today. I'm picking up a little angled short flat. Now you can use any paintbrush, whatever suits your needs really, but I'm using a little angled short flat here today because I quite like this one. I'm going to go a little bit lighter now, and I'm looking at my drawing, and I'm just going to put in a little bit lighter, put in some leaf shapes like this. I like the angled short flat because you can push it down and you can make these leaf shapes quite easy, like that. It's good to have a reference photo to do this type of thing. And you need to experiment also. I'm making this up a minute as I go along, but you should really follow some sort of a reference. Now I'm going to add a little bit more white. I want these a little bit brighter. There you go. Let's put a couple on here, because the plants I'm trying to draw or replicate on here, the leaves come in pairs, so we need to obviously try and replicate that where we can. And leaves go all over the shop, they all go over each other and around each other, and like that. Makes it a bit more dark, a bit more black to that now. I want to make a couple of darker ones. The darker they are, the further they'll stand out in the background then. You've got to have a good imagination as well. I think you've got to really think as well. You know, although you can get away with random placement of things like this in the distance, but you've got to have a little thought about it as well. If you don't succeed the first time, don't worry. This is just a good way of practice as well. Anyway, you can have a lot of fun with this. You can paint trees in this way. You really can. You can paint trees in this way as well. We're creating depth by just using tones. This is a quicker way of painting something like this than what you would do if you went just in with green, and you'll understand what I mean in a second. So I'm putting some lighter marks over some darker marks like that, just to give it a little bit of depth there, because these are little tiny ones, and the further you come to the front, obviously they're going to get bigger then, like that. Don't forget, painting is about distance. I don't mean just distance in a painting. I mean when you come to view something, it always looks better standing back from it. So I'm not going to do much more to that. You can see the effect that I'm getting, and what I want you to do is to have a practice and see if you can't achieve something like that. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to glaze over this. This is going to bring everything forward and pop it, and that's the key. So we need some glazing fluid. Now you can buy glazing medium from the store. I've actually got my own, but you can buy it from the store. It's quite inexpensive. Well, it's reasonable for what you use. If you're going to use a bit of glazing, then you can get it. There's pure resin, in fact. So if you've got some pigment, or you want to try mixing your own paints, that's the stuff you want to buy. They come in smallish bottles. They're around about £8 or £9, I think, but it is pure resin, so don't forget that it is pure resin, and that's what you want. So get some glazing material, glazing medium. So you want need to put a bit of that out, add in some water to it, so you can thin that down. There we go. We need a glaze and a little bit of green. There we are. So we got a nice thin glaze of colour. Now add in the glazing medium to it, which is pure resin. That's going to stop it from underbinding, and it's going to cover really well. I'll show you in a second. I'll just put that down. I need a bigger brush, actually, my glazing brush. There we go. So I'm just going to wet that. Okay, so we're picking up this green with some glazing medium. You can buy matte or you can buy gloss. This just happens to be gloss. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to gloss over that like this. I want to go a little bit darker. And you can see that all of a sudden it's going to attach itself to the different shades of grey that we put on, and then turn green. And it's going to look like you've worked really hard and you've hardly done anything, really. So instead of putting all this work into painting all these little bits of grass, or you can use this on grass, you can use it on this side here on trees, you can use it on foliage like this. So instead of you working that hard, you can get away with this quite nicely. So you need to work with this glazing medium a little bit fast, because it does dry quite rapidly, but once you get used to it, and then you can add different amounts of green in this case to that, and you're going to get a slightly different effect. You can see it starting to come together. It looks as if I've worked really hard on that, and you can see it, I haven't. And this is going to amaze people when you do paintings like this. They're going to say, wow, you've worked so hard on that. You're talented. How did you do that? I can't tell you how I did it. It's a secret. And this is what you tell people, and this is why a lot of artists don't give their secrets away. But a lot of things that you can do as a simple process, or if you don't know that process, try and work it out. Try and work it out yourself. Because we paint on top of this after, and this is going to look like as if you spent weeks and weeks and weeks on this painting. It really is. So you continue to glaze that. I'm working in small sections because it's quite warm in the studio, and I don't want the paint to get too tacky too quickly, so I'm working in small sections, and it's easier that way. Because the resin, or the resin, which it is resin, the glazing medium will tend to dry very quickly, get tacky. Wow, look at that. It looks as if there's hours of work in there. Looks as if there's hours of work in there. So just adding glazing medium to different amounts of... My hook is green. Now you can see when I put the whiter, brighter flecks in there, they're lighter than the other ones. The darker the grey is, the darker it's going to get in the background, and the lighter grey is going to stand out a little bit more. There you go. And just put that in there like that. If you wanted to darken the back off a little bit, you can add a little bit of black to this green. But you can see that already we've got a fantastic background. Now you're going to have to wait for this to dry, and I recommend you actually letting it stand to dry and taking the time to let it dry naturally, because you don't want this to peel and lift, and you've worked really hard. You've worked hours and hours and hours on this. So you want to do that. But I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to use the hairdryer because I want the process to speed up a bit. But normally, when I was doing my portrait, which is there, you can see now how I've done that. I waited, and I'm waiting. That's why it's taking so long, because I'm waiting for the layers that I'm working on to dry. And as I said, that's not as dry as I would like it, because I'd like it to air dry, but hey ho, and all that. I'm picking up some more glazing medium and some hooker's green. I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. I want to lighten that down. I want to change the value of it. I don't want to add any more yellow, I don't want to add any more blue or nothing like that to it. I'm just changing the value of that glazing medium. And what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more white to it. I want to pick up some highlight on these leaves, and this is where you can afford to paint in if you want to. There's a bird or something singing out there. I don't know what that is. A dog barking. Just bring in a few more leaves if you want to. I'm not going to do a lot more to this, but you can certainly add and just use your imagination. This is what this exercise is all about. It's just to show you a new technique. But it's also allowing you to be a little bit more creative. A bit of light in there. I need a bit more light. Yeah. Oh, I don't know what that noise is. I don't know if it's a chicken or something. I don't know. Just bringing up a little bit of light on these leaves like that. I'm happy with that so far. Okay, so I'm looking at my picture, and we've got these wonderful. I think they're like wisteria or something like that. I can't remember exactly, because this painting was this photograph was taken in different gardens, which is a botanical garden on an estate not far from where I live. So I'm gonna let me have a look. I'm gonna pinky them off a bit. A little bit of white, a little bit of red. We're gonna put some pinky ones in first, and then we're gonna add some blues and blues. Reds and greens go well, but we also blues and violetsy colours will sit okay here. So I'm just going to make this up as I go along now. So I'm just going to put in some little marks like this. Don't have to be a botanical painter to make it look special. So we put some light there, and we can some light, because you don't know where one starts and one finishes really, because they're all stuck on this stalk. There you go. Nice. We'll put a couple of marks here as well. Similar type of thing. What we're going to do is add some detail into these things. There you go. We get into a strip liney brush now and just put in a few more wispy bits. Wispy bits. In like that. And what I've done is I got some nice red ones in my actually painting, so I might put a nice red one coming in there, I think. We're not going to worry too much. I'm not going to do everything because I'll be here forever and ever and ever. The idea is to try and create something quickly. So I'm picking up a little filbert brush. I'm going to get some red, and I'm just going to put some red marks in. I'm going to add I was going to add something, but I'm not going to now. Put some things like this. I think these were like fuchsias. Not that I'm good on plants and stuff, I'm not. I know roughly what they look like. And I can't bear the fuchsia all alone. But these are like little fuchsias that were springing up there like that. A nice fuchsia plant there. We might have a little, let's see if we can put another one then, maybe there. Just to balance this off a bit. Yeah. People will make up shapes in their minds, so you don't have to be too precise. If you're looking at this from a distance, you don't have to be that precise, because they'll think, oh, that looks like a fuchsia, and that's what it's about. It's not being, especially when you're painting something like this, the flowers like this that I'm trying to paint, you know, this is meant to be looked at from a distance rather than close up. So the detail doesn't have to be that great. I'm going to leave that a little bit more now. I think I'm going to just get a little bit of blue on my palette, so I'm going to just put a spot of maybe ultramarine blue there, like that. I want to make a like a purpley colour, so mix a bit of ultramarine blue and that red. It's kind of like a red purple, so let's just get a bit of white to it and just see where we stand. So we need to add a little bit more blue. I want a violet colour, so I want a bit more blue than red. There you go. Don't want it too bright. I want it quite subdued, really. Bit more red, bit more blue. Use all my blue up now. It'll be okay, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a bit of that in like this, just on these bits of white that I put in. Just add a little bit of colour, like as if maybe that's a part of the flower. There you go. Like I said, this is not meant to be detailed. This is meant to be loose, and it's meant to be free, and it's just meant to represent. I keep saying this is going to be viewed from a distance. So don't forget that you don't have to be tight and detailed all the time. You really don't. You'll get more of effect by being loose like this. So let's get a little bit of red over here now. Let's make this a little bit pinker. I'm still using this Fill Putty brush. So I just want to bring in, oops, too much. Trying to put individual representations of leaves in there like that. See? That's still wet there. Doesn't matter. Let's just slap on a little bit like that. There we go. Now, what I've noticed with these things is that they got little things coming out of them like that. There you go. How cool is that? And then they got little pollen heads things sticking out like that. Fuchsias, lovely colour. My mother's favourite flower, actually. Well, one of them anyway. Peonies was my father's, I think. But my mother used to like fuchsias. I quite like fuchsias myself. Get some white paint now and just put a few more highlights. Maybe that was the wrong brush for that. Let's get a detail brush. Just picking up some light marks like that. There's things when you paint in flowers and there's a mass of them, and you just think of shape and form and light and dark and shadows, and it doesn't have to be, as I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is not what you're trying to do when you paint in the background like this. What you're trying to do is put a representation of a background in, because the main focus is on the subject. In my case, it's me on my face. As you can see, we've got that background there. So I think for a quick study painting and an idea of what you can do, you can play around. You can put some more flowers in there, and but for now, I think I'm happy to say that that's finished, and I want to thank you very much for joining me in the studio again on this sunny day in Wales, where we paint away the stress of everyday life. I hope that has given you an idea, a study of how to do a nice, easy, simple, complicated background in an easy way. And but until next time, thank you very much. Give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to click the subscribe button. Nice.